Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Mikael, the founder and CEO at Funnelytics. Hello.
Hi.
Very excited to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
Yeah, so Funnelytics is a funnel visual mapping and analytics tool for customer journeys. In short, what we've done is we've built a digital whiteboard where you can map your entire customer journeys, all of the different touch points like ads, pages, purchases, forms, etc. You can connect them all together on a canvas, and then you can just click a button and overlay all of your data on top, see how people flow through it, see your conversions, really kind of find the bottlenecks within your customer journeys.
Okay, what are the biggest problems you solve with the Funnelytics?
Yeah, so really it's about visualizing what is happening, right? 65% of the population is visual. Like they look and think in pictures. Yet when we're looking at data, we're stuck looking at charts and graphs and spreadsheets and then we're trying to figure out, like, is this working? Is it not? And it's really tough because customer journeys aren't linear, right? A spreadsheet is very much rows and columns. But customer journeys there's so many different touch points from the very first ad or page that they visit to how they become a purchase or a customer. There's all these different paths that they can take, all these different touch points. So how do you actually see and visualize that? And when you're able to put it on a whiteboard, on a canvas, that's when you can actually really start to see the insights and the trends.
Absolutely. What are the top 3 most loved features of Funnelytics?
Yeah, so obviously the visual aspect of Funnelytics, being able to visually connect any touch point together, see the conversion rate, see how people move from one step to another step. Second is our Explorer feature. So we have the ability for you to explore all of your data. So all the data that you collect, you can see all the pages that people visited, all the traffic sources, and then you could just click a few buttons and instantly map it onto the canvas. And then an expansion to that is our Step Explorer feature, which allows you to drag forwards and backwards from any step and understand what are the previous steps or the next steps that people took in order to move and kind of go through. We've got a lot of cool features, but those are probably the top 3 like most useful and best features.
Thanks for sharing. And what are the use cases of the product?
So couple things. Planning. There's the main use cases, like people align their teams, plan all of their customer journeys, all of their funnels on these visual canvases. Because it's a picture, you can get everybody on the same page, and it's very, very easy to communicate to your team or to your clients if you're an agency. Okay. Second is measuring performance. So being able to really understand where are those bottlenecks, being able to report on those, being able to track all of the different touch points and really measuring that performance. And then third is optimizing. So now that you've got all of this data, what do you do with it, right? How do you make decisions? Well, Funnelytics makes it very easy to turn this data into actionable insights so that you now know, okay, I need to optimize this, or I need to look at this and run a split test here. And that's ultimately the 3 use cases of Funnelytics.
Thank you for sharing. I'd love to hear your favorite customer success story and how you help them.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of different types of businesses who use Funnelytics. We've got e-commerce businesses, software companies, info type businesses, course creators, coaches, etc. Okay. But just a very quick example is we helped a company called Four Sigmatic, which is a e-commerce. I think they sell kind of mushroom coffee or something along those lines. Okay. We helped them increase their average order value by about 46%, just by understanding where are the paths that drive their most profitable product and how are people getting there, and then retweaking their website to really streamline that path, and then looking at how can we add add-ons and all that stuff. So by just looking at the data in a visual way, they were able to act on that data and then increase their average order value by 46% from the same traffic too, which is great, right? So they went from, spending a certain amount and getting a certain amount back, but then spending the exact same amount and increasing the amount that they're making by 46% by just looking at the data and optimizing.
Fantastic. Well, okay. I love to hear the integrations that you offer. I saw that that you have some there listed on the website.
Yeah, so Funnelytics allows you to look at both your on-site and your off-site data. So we kind of connect both. So Funnelytics, fundamentally, you use our tracking to track all the actions that occur on your website, how people get to your website, the pages that they visit, the purchases, etc. But there's a lot of stuff that happens off of your website. So for example, maybe somebody goes into a sales pipeline and then they go from stage A to stage B to stage C, or there's recurring purchases that come in. So we integrate with primarily Zapier and any sort of webhooks. So we've got a very agnostic platform. We can pull in your data from any platform through both webhooks and through Zaps. At this particular moment, at the time of recording this podcast, we don't have any direct integrations other than connecting through Zaps or webhooks.
I understand. And what is the pricing for Funnelytics?
So we got 3 core tiers at Funnelytics. Actually, we've got 4. So our mapping tool is completely free. You can come in, use our mapping tool, and really start mapping your customer journeys, get everybody aligned. Then we've got Performance Lite, which is $200 a month with a 14-day trial. And that allows you to track all of your pages, all of your traffic sources, really see how people move across your website. We've got our Performance Plus plan, which is $500 a month, at least at the time of recording this video and this podcast. That allows you to track actions. It also gives you an upper limit in terms of how much data you can store and how many people you can track. And when I say actions, that's any action that occurs on your website. So any purchase, any form submission, a video view, a link click. So think of actions like events. It also allows you to connect offline actions as well. And then we've got our Max plan, which gives you more workspaces. They're really more for agencies, more traffic volume. It's for people who really kind of like to use Funnelytics for their clients and want to kind of do it in that way.
Okay.
And that's $1,000 a month. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. What's your take on Google Analytics 4? I know a lot of people are unhappy, and from my understanding, you're kind of an alternative to that.
Yeah.
Please tell us more.
Yeah, so I mean, Google Analytics is Google, right? They're still a dominant, it's Google. So you can't really look at Google as a competitor or anything like that. However, it is very challenging to get insights from GA or GA4. They're both just as, difficult. Obviously, Google Analytics Universal is no longer a thing. One of the things that Google Analytics 4 has done right, which is something we did right from the very beginning when we launched Funnelytics in 2018, is we went on user-based tracking as opposed to session-based tracking. So the key to understanding analytics is being able to track people and what they do across your site and your ecosystem. And that's something that we did with Funnelytics at the very, very beginning. Again, if you're a wizard when it comes to Google Analytics, you can probably get the insights that you want. Personally, I find it extremely complicated. I prefer drag and drop and click and get your answer. That's why we built Funnelytics. It's a lot more visual. But hey, it's Google, right? So
would you say that the space got more competitive with the launch of GA4? Are you thinking that more companies are trying to come in and take a share of the market?
I don't really look at it that way, to be completely honest.
Okay.
I think Funnelytics is in a kind of category of its own. Like, we can compare ourselves to Google Analytics 4, but then you also would have to compare us to Miro as well as a diagramming and whiteboarding tool.
I understand.
You'd also have to start comparing us to other, analytics and tracking tools. So we've really kind of approached it in a very unique way. That said, yes, of course, the more that there's challenges with a certain platform, the more people are going to say, hey, I'm going to try to build my own solution to this. The question is, how are they approaching that solution? By building another, analytics tool that gives you charts and graphs and spreadsheets, you're not really changing the landscape. You're just creating a new solution for the same core problem. In our case, we're actually trying to approach it very differently with visual analytics.
Thanks for sharing. Now, more on the company side, I'd love to hear why you started the company and when, and how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so I started Funnelytics in the idea came to me in about 2016, maybe a little earlier than that. I used to run an agency, and what we would do for all of our clients is we would basically build them their customer acquisition funnels, right? So we would basically map out on a whiteboard what pages we need to put together, or if we have to put a webinar together, we'd look at the ads, we'd look at the automations that we'd have to put together, the emails, and we'd usually on a whiteboard or on a like PowerPoint or diagramming tool just kind of visualize this so that we can explain it to the client that this is what we're going to build in order to convert strangers into customers. So we would do this, and clients would love the fact that they can see it. It's visual. Okay, yeah, I can see all the pages that you're going to do and build and the emails you're going to write and all that stuff. However, then it came back to how do we report, how do we analyze, and how do we look at this? So we would have to basically log into Facebook and then Stripe, and then we have to log into Google Analytics, and we'd have to build a spreadsheet, and we'd have to create calculations of conversions, and it was just really difficult, time consuming, not only for my team, but then our clients looked at it and they didn't really get it, right? And the idea was, wouldn't it be cool if like I could just do that same map, but then just overlay the data right there on top? Like, here's how many people came to this page, here's the conversion rate. If we're able to increase that conversion rate by X, this is the outcome, and just show them in this same way that we're presenting the strategy to them. So that's what I started doing. I in early 2017, I hired a developer, and we started building the first kind of prototype of it, and we were off to the races by the end of 2017, and then really launched Funnelytics in early 2018.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that transparency, and it seems like a very great story. So you discovered this problem yourself, and wow. Do you still have the agency?
No. Once Funnelytics really started taking off, I decided to stop the agency, put all of my focus on the software. It's a very, very different game. There's still a service component to Funnelytics for a lot of clients who just don't have the in-house capabilities to basically leverage and leverage the platform and get the insights that they need. But our primary business is all software.
But did you keep the same team, or did you build a new team from scratch, a new company?
For the services? Or just in general?
For Funnelytics?
No, it's completely different business, completely different team. We rebuilt the team, from scratch. Obviously, building software is very, very different than delivering services.
Correct.
You need engineers, which is not what you need when you're doing services.
Okay. And how many team members are there at the company at Funnelytics?
We are at this time 13, I believe.
Okay. Have you raised any funding?
We have, yeah. So we've gone through a seed round of funding, and yeah, it's definitely been interesting raising funding for sure.
What do you think was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Finding product market fit has been a very, very tough challenge, and the main reason for that is because we have two layers to Funnelytics. We have the visual mapping component, and then we have the analytics component, and we have people come into our platform for kind of both. So really honing in on how do we straddle this line of, I want a map, I want analytics, and then there's, on both spectrums, a wide range of types of customers. There's, the power analytics users who want this, and this. And then there's the beginner analytics users, and then there's the mappers and the power mappers. And so finding that straddle has been probably the most challenging thing over the last few years.
How did you get your first customers, your first clients?
So luckily, I know how to market, and I'm very grateful that that is one of the things that I've learned over the last decade and longer, kind of being an entrepreneur. That is one of my primary skills. So I was able to, really build a community around it. So just to give you a very quick overview, we basically made our mapping tool free. So we allowed people to sign up to the mapping tool for free. I would use a Facebook ad to advertise the mapping tool. Then what we did is, as soon as they signed up for the mapping tool, we sent them to a Facebook group, and we started building a community around there. In the Facebook group, throughout our development process for the analytics paid product, that's where we would kind of talk to them about, here's what we're building and a little bit of the vision, and we would tease them with some like demos. And this is while the platform was very much in alpha mode. If it wasn't even in beta, it was very very preliminary. And then in order for us to get our first customers, I decided to make a little bet and run a little bit of a gamble here. So I figured our analytics was not good by any means at the time. It was just very preliminary. So if I were to sell it at, let's say, $99 a month, there's no way people are sticking, past 2 months, because it didn't really work. So I decided to sell a lifetime license for Funnelytics and we called it kind of our founding members license. And truthfully, I expected to maybe potentially get 100 customers over the course of a few months. We ended up generating about 300 customers in 48 hours through the Facebook group, made about $200,000 in 48 hours of cash collected, which allowed us to basically bootstrap until we decided to raise funding. We kind of kept growing that founding members license for the following 12 months, and we were lucky enough to generate a lot of money, at $1.5 million in our first 12 months, to really kind of push the envelope and bootstrap Funnelytics. And then we eventually transitioned towards a SaaS model, and we raised some seed funding and all that stuff.
Wow. So this is a successful story of selling lifetime deals. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I can also talk about the negative aspect of selling lifetime deals. Please. For sure. It's great to make some preliminary cash. The issue with a lifetime deal is obviously the fact that you are, these customers are there for life. And I have all the respect for our founding members. They believed in something at the very beginning. However, they paid the same amount that people pay on a monthly basis now. And obviously, if you think about our support, if you think about the tracking volumes and the stuff that, the costs associated with serving lifetime members, that's the biggest issue. And I think one of the biggest things that people forget when they do lifetime licenses, they don't charge enough. A lifetime is a lifetime, right? And you just underestimate how much. So a lot of times, you'll look at AppSumo and it's like $49 lifetime or $300 lifetime, and you realize that like the problem is that company is going to go under because they can't sustain that, right? They can make a whole lot of money up front, but then once you start stacking on the engineers and you start stacking on the costs, and that money goes very, very quickly, and you can't continue to service customers until you're able to switch to a consistent SaaS model. And the key when you're doing lifetime is it's very much false indicators. You think you're successful because you've made a whole lot of money, but you have no idea what churn looks like. You have no idea what features. People talk about the features and stuff, but it's not the same as, hey, are they going to cancel their subscription? Versus like, there's no risk here, right? They've paid for the lifetime. They can play with it. They can use it. They can give you some feedback, but you won't know if like they're actually really going to like churn. So you're much, much better off doing a severely discounted monthly or annual plan, right?
Yes.
And now you know that, hey, at least we've got recurring revenue. There may be very, very high churn after year one, but it's not a lifetime deal.
And we have a year to make them happy.
Exactly.
I understand. But would you do it again if you started another company today?
No. I am very, very grateful that I did. I didn't know anything about SaaS. I didn't know anything about what it takes to run a SaaS company. However, I would not do a lifetime deal again. I would do, again, a founding members beta round. Yes. Where because the one thing that's nice about the launch model of a lifetime deal is the exclusivity, the scarcity, the urgency. You only have this many spots, and the price is 100% going to go up, right? So what was interesting is when I switched from lifetime to yearly. So that was our first switch. Was basically, it was like $595 lifetime. I literally changed the word lifetime and I put / per year. Our conversions were the exact same. We didn't actually drop. We didn't see. Wow. So all it did was switch from, oh man, I've got these customers who paid me lifetime to, wow, I've got the same customers, but now they're paying me yearly. Still too low in terms of a price point and all that stuff, especially if you consider, where we're at now. But I would have started there, and then that would have been annual recurring revenue, even if people would have canceled and all that stuff. But you need that scarcity and that urgency to drive that influx of customers at the very, very beginning.
Great topic. Thank you so much for sharing. And do you think there are some companies that after doing a lifetime deal, they just add so many features that you cannot live with that lifetime deal and you have to buy a subscription? Is that something doable, or do you think that's fair?
No, that's the problem, right? The issue is once you do a lifetime deal, unless you're very deliberate as to, hey, like we have a lifetime deal for this plan, but we also have this plan, and you're upfront about that second plan, it's very, very hard because you're just going to get a whole lot of complaints and a whole lot of people who just don't trust you anymore. And the problem with complaints is that those people are a lot more vocal than others, right? So, for example, we were very deliberate when we sold our lifetime license. I said Funnelytics Pro, knowing in the back of my mind that there would be more than one plan and not just a pro plan. But because it's the only thing, and they saw Funnelytics free mapping tool and then Funnelytics Pro at the time, even though I had a vision that there would be these other plans, the minute you introduce a new plan, the people who are sitting there and saying, well, wait a minute, like I thought I got lifetime, so how come I don't get access to these features? And you say, well, this is actually for this other plan. All you hear is like, well, like how come I'm not on that plan? Like, so it just creates a lot of negative will towards the community and what you're doing. So I wouldn't do it. I would basically say, look, this is if you do want to do it, make sure that it's clear and upfront. Like, here's plan A, this one's $1,000 a year or whatever it is. Here's plan B, this one's going to be $500 a year. However, you can get it for $500 lifetime. But this is what you're getting in this plan. If we add features, it may be for this or this. However, you're just going to get whatever is part of that, right? So you just have to be aware of that.
Last question about the topic, and then we can continue the interview. I'm curious if you believe in the feature of lifetime deals. Do you think that is just a trend, or do you think there's a community and people are willing to buy that and it's something doable?
I think no matter what, there will always be a market for people who want to make a quick buck, and there will always be a market for people who want to get a really good deal. So that is not going to go away, I don't think, because at the end of the day, people are too greedy. So
Yes.
as a somebody who like, hey, I want to make a bunch of money today. A lifetime deal is great. You can add a lot of scarcity and you can make a whole lot of money, right? And then on the flip side, consumers are always looking for a deal. Now, if you're a serious business, you'll know that that's not sustainable for as the business. And then if you're a serious consumer, you know that the business won't be sustainable, and therefore you're just giving your money to something that may or may not last a long time, right? Now, there are very successful lifetime deals that have worked and continue to work and all of that stuff. In our industry, Thrivecart is a very good example that they've sold a lot of lifetime licenses, and people continue to use them and it still works. But it is a challenge for sure. If you are going to do a lifetime deal, make sure that there is no extra cost of goods sold based on how many users you add. So for us, our biggest challenge is we're an analytics company where we track people, which means that our AWS bill goes up and our server costs and processing that data, etc. The more people set up Funnelytics and track, the more expensive it becomes. So we don't have a choice. If we don't charge based on that, and we don't understand our margins, which I didn't at the time, I had no clue, you end up paying for that in the long run. If you have a software that literally there is minimal cost for every added user, because the software just still operates the exact same way, there's no storage fees
Like a project
or anything
management
like that,
tool. Yeah.
then great, you're good to go.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much for sharing. You did fantastic, and I'm super excited to have this topic on the podcast. My next question would be, what's your vision about the future of Funnelytics?
So our vision hasn't changed. Our vision is the same. We plan on being a command center for people to plan, measure, and optimize their customer journeys. We want all marketing teams around the world to basically be able to align themselves in our canvas and basically be able to visualize all of their customer acquisition strategies inside of Funnelytics. And the key here is that there's 3 core use cases. I want to be able to plan with my team, which means that I need to be able to organize, I need to be able to map, I need to be able to add team members, collaborate, all of that stuff. Then there's the measure aspect. One thing we never want to touch is the build aspect. So once you plan a customer journey, pages, emails, etc., there's so many tools out there that allow you to write emails, MailChimp, HubSpot, etc., build pages, process payments, all of that. So we don't want to touch that. What we want to do is integrate with all of those, make our platform agnostic so that you can measure the results of the strategy that you've laid out inside of Funnelytics. And then you can use those results to then go to the optimize phase so that you can go and start running tests and tweaking things using our platform to then kind of continue that loop and just align and create that command center for everybody.
Great vision. I'm rooting for you. I love to hear how you started your career and your background story.
Yeah, so I started in the digital marketing space very, very quickly. I basically started a t-shirt company back in university days. I wanted to figure out, how do I sell online? So I had these t-shirts with a bunch of my friends, and really I just wanted to figure out, like, how do we sell these t-shirts? Our friends and our family already bought a bunch. We still have a whole lot to sell. I knew nothing about digital marketing. I knew nothing about building websites. This is back in probably 2009. And it led me down this rabbit hole of figuring out, what does it take to do online marketing and digital marketing. It started off with, figuring out how to build affiliate websites and then figuring out SEO and pay-per-click ads, and then eventually funnels and email marketing and copywriting and sales and videos and then just understanding the entire kind of ecosystem of how do you find a stranger and how do you turn that stranger into a customer consistently and predictably? And once I kind of figured that out, that is when things started to click. I launched my agency and we started helping clients do this. And then it kind of snowballed into Funnelytics, as I mentioned earlier.
Fantastic story. And what would be your best piece of advice for a starting founder?
Depending on what type of founder you are, number one, find a founder that is going to complement you. So if you are a sales and marketing type of founder, find a technical founder. I don't have one. It is very, very challenging to build a software company when you don't have a technical founder. So I can only play in my zone of genius, which is sales and marketing. And I have to try and find the right people. I'm lucky and grateful that my team is amazing. We've found some really great people. But that is one of the biggest things that I would recommend. So if you're more of an operational person, you're going to need somebody who's on the sales and marketing side, and you're going to need somebody who's on the technical side. If you're a product and technical person, on the flip side, you're going to need somebody who knows how to sell and market. Now, operations comes third, right? You don't need the operations. You need at the very, very, very beginning. If you're thinking about $0 to $200,000, you're really in sales and marketing and MVP product, right?
Yes.
So that's all you really need is like, how can I go and find somebody to buy this thing that somewhat works with somewhat of a promise? And then as you kind of ramp up and you scale, that's when you really need to think about operations. So if you're an operations person, you either need to learn sales and marketing, or you need to find somebody who understands sales and marketing, and you'll need somebody who's on the technical side. If you're a sales and marketing person, you need somebody on the technical side. If you're a technical person, you're going to need somebody on the sales and marketing side.
Great
That's
answer. I love it. This is the next short. I love it. And now I have one last question. What's your favorite SaaS product that you use apart from Funnelytics?
Right now, I only because I've been doing this, I've been using it for the last few days a lot, is Descript. So Descript is a video editing software, but the way that they do it is through the script. It's got a bunch of AI technology in it. It makes recording and creating videos so much easier. And over the last week or so, I've just been using it a lot to record some content for Funnelytics. And typically, I'm not a video editor. Typically, we'd send things to a video editor, but sometimes it's just much faster when you're just doing a little product demo to just do it yourself. And Descript has made it super easy. So I highly recommend Descript if you're trying to create some videos.
It's a great tool. OpenAI invested in them actually, so that has to be something great.
It is amazing.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast. Is there anything else that you want to tell us today?
No, I hope everybody has a good day.
Thank you so much. You did fantastic. I'm super grateful.
Cheers.